6 sprouts that make chickens lay more eggs, ready in just 3 days. Now most people think the only way to get better egg production is to keep buying more and more feed. And let's be honest, chicken feed isn't cheap, and the cost keeps going up. So people spend more, expecting better results, but nothing really changes. The problem is, it's not always about feeding your chickens more, it's about feeding them better. And that's where most people get it wrong. Instead of improving the quality of what their chickens eat, they just increase the quantity and hope for the best. What many people don't realize is that you can grow a powerful, nutrient-rich feed in just a few days, using nothing but seeds and water. No soil, no expensive setup, and almost no cost. These sprouts are packed with nutrients like protein, minerals, energy boosts that chickens can absorb easily, and when added to their diet, they can help improve overall health and support more consistent egg production. In this video on daily plant life, I'll show you 6 simple sprouts you can grow in just 3 days, how to use them properly, and how they can help you reduce feed costs while getting better results from your chickens. Make sure to let me know where you are watching from in the comments. Let's get into it. Sprout 1. Mung beans, the quick producer. Mung beans are one of the fastest and most efficient sprouts you can grow for your chickens, and that speed is exactly what makes them so valuable when you're trying to improve egg production. Within just a few days, these small, dry seeds transform into fresh, living sprouts that are far more nutritious and easier for chickens to digest. This transformation is important because it changes the way your chickens absorb nutrients. Instead of struggling to break down hard, dry grains, they're now consuming something softer, more active, and more biologically available, which means their bodies can actually use more of what they're eating. What really sets mung beans apart is how quickly they fit into a consistent feeding system. Because they sprout in about 3 days, you can create a simple rotation where you're always growing a new batch while feeding another. This removes the need for large storage or expensive feed adjustments and replaces it with a steady, low-cost cycle that keeps producing. Over time, this consistency becomes more important than anything else because egg production doesn't respond well to irregular feeding or sudden changes. It improves when the birds are getting stable, high-quality nutrition day after day. Nutritionally, mung bean sprouts provide a mix of vitamins, enzymes, and easily digestible proteins that support overall health. When chickens are healthier internally, their energy levels stabilize, their stress reduces, and their bodies are able to focus more on consistent egg production. It's not about forcing them to lay more. It's about removing the limitations that are holding them back. That's a key difference many people miss when they focus only on increasing feed quantity instead of improving feed quality. Over time, mung bean sprouts become more than just an occasional supplement. They become part of a system that works quietly in the background. You're not constantly adjusting or guessing what your chickens need. Instead, you're providing a reliable, nutrient-rich addition that supports better performance naturally. And when something is this simple, fast, and effective, it's hard to ignore the impact it can have over the long term. Sprout 2. Lentils, the protein boost. Lentils are one of the most effective sprouts you can introduce into your chicken's diet when your goal is to improve egg production, mainly because of their protein content and how that protein becomes more usable after sprouting. Protein plays a direct role in egg formation, and when chickens are not getting enough of it in a form they can easily digest, their laying frequency often drops or becomes inconsistent. Sprouting lentils changes that completely because it activates enzymes that begin breaking down complex nutrients into simpler forms that chickens can absorb more efficiently. The process itself is simple, but the impact is significant. When lentils begin to sprout, their nutritional profile shifts in a way that increases availability rather than just quantity. This means your chickens are not just eating more protein. They're actually benefiting more from each bite. That difference may not seem obvious at first, but over time it shows up in their overall condition, their activity levels, and most importantly, their ability to maintain steady egg production without relying on expensive commercial feeds or supplements. Another important factor is how well lentil sprouts fit into a low-cost, repeatable system. Just like mung beans, they can be grown quickly with minimal resources, allowing you to maintain a continuous supply without adding extra work to your routine. This consistency is critical because chickens respond best to stable feeding patterns. When their diet improves gradually, and remains consistent, their bodies adjust and begin performing more efficiently. That's where real, lasting improvements come from. Not quick fixes, but steady changes that support long-term productivity. As you continue using lentil sprouts, you begin to notice a shift in how your chickens respond to their feed. They become more active, their overall condition improves, and their output becomes more predictable. It's not about pushing them beyond their natural limits. It's about giving them the nutrients they need in a form that actually works. And once that foundation is in place, everything else becomes easier to manage. Sprout 3. Wheat berries. This is the energy foundation. Wheat berries are one of the most practical and widely available grains you can sprout. But what makes them especially valuable is how they provide a steady source of energy while also improving overall nutrient availability. When you feed dry wheat, your chickens have to work harder to digest it, and not all of the nutrients are fully utilized. But once you sprout those same grains, the structure changes completely. The grain softens, enzyme activity increases, and nutrients become easier to absorb, turning a basic feed into something much more effective. Energy plays a larger role in egg production than many people realize. Chickens that lack consistent energy tend to become less active, more stressed, and less productive over time. Sprouted wheat helps address this by providing a more accessible energy source that supports daily activity and overall stability. When your chickens are consistently active and not struggling to meet their basic energy needs, their bodies are in a much better position to maintain regular egg production. It's not about boosting them temporarily, it's about supporting them continuously. Another advantage of wheatberry sprouts is how easily they fit into a routine. They don't require special treatment, and once you get used to the soaking and rinsing process, they become a simple part of your feeding system. This simplicity matters, because the easier something is to maintain, the more likely you are to stick with it. And with something like egg production, consistency always beats complexity. A simple system that you can repeat daily will always outperform a complicated one that you abandon after a few weeks. Over time, wheat sprouts act as a foundation within your feeding strategy. They may not seem as special as some other options, but their reliability and contribution to overall energy and nutrition make them extremely valuable. When combined with other sprouts, they help create a balanced approach that supports your chickens from multiple angles, making your entire system more effective without increasing cost or effort. Sprout 4. Barley, the mineral booster. Barley sprouts are one of the most underrated additions you can make to your chicken's diet, especially when your goal is to improve egg production in a consistent and natural way. What makes barley particularly valuable is not just its ability to sprout quickly, but how the sprouting process enhances its mineral content and overall digestibility. When barley begins to germinate, it activates enzymes that break down stored nutrients into forms that are easier for chickens to absorb, turning a basic grain into something far more useful nutritionally. Minerals play a quiet but critical role in egg production. While most people focus on protein or quantity of feed, deficiencies in minerals can limit how efficiently chickens produce eggs over time. Barley sprouts help support this by contributing essential nutrients that improve overall health, shell quality, and internal balance. When chickens are not lacking in these key areas, their bodies are able to maintain more stable and reliable egg production without unnecessary stress. Another advantage of barley is how well it fits into a simple, repeatable system. It sprouts within a few days, requires no soil, and can be grown in small batches without taking up much space. This makes it easy to include alongside other sprouts without complicating your routine. And because it's widely available and affordable, it remains a practical option for long-term use rather than something you try once and abandon. Over time, barley sprouts act as a stabilizer within your feeding approach. They may not produce instant, dramatic changes on their own, but when combined with other nutrient-rich sprouts, they help create a balanced diet that supports consistent performance. And in egg production, consistency is what makes the biggest difference. Not short bursts, but steady, reliable output. Sprout 5. Peas, the strength builder. Pea sprouts are another powerful option when it comes to supporting egg production, mainly because of their combination of protein, energy, and overall nutrient density. When peas are sprouted, they undergo the same transformation as other seeds. Their nutrients become more accessible, and their structure softens, making them easier for chickens to digest and utilize. This is important because it ensures that your chickens are not just eating more, but actually benefiting more from what they eat. One of the key benefits of pea sprouts is how they contribute to overall strength and condition. Chickens that are well-nourished tend to be more active, more resilient, and less prone to stress, all of which play a role in consistent egg laying. Egg production is not just about one nutrient. It's about the overall condition of the bird. When that condition improves, production follows naturally rather than being forced. Pea sprouts also fit well into a diversified feeding system. Instead of relying on a single source of nutrients, you're creating a mix that covers multiple needs at once. This diversity is important because it reduces the risk of deficiencies and helps maintain balance in your chicken's diet. Over time, this balanced approach leads to more predictable and stable results. As with the other sprouts, peas are easy to grow and maintain. With a simple soaking and rinsing routine, you can produce fresh sprouts in just a few days, making them a practical addition rather than an extra burden. And once they become part of your system, they contribute to a steady improvement in how your chickens perform over time. Sprout 6. Sunflower seeds, the high-energy booster. Sunflower seed sprouts bring a different kind of value to your chicken's diet, mainly because of their higher energy content and healthy fats. While many people focus only on protein, energy is just as important when it comes to maintaining consistent egg production. Chickens need enough energy not only to stay active, but also to support the internal processes involved in producing eggs regularly. Without it, production can become inconsistent or drop altogether. When sunflower seeds are sprouted, they become easier to digest, and their nutrients become more accessible, just like the other sprouts in this list. This makes them a more efficient source of energy compared to feeding them dry. Instead of passing through the system with limited absorption, sprouted sunflower seeds provide usable energy that supports daily activity and overall productivity. Another important benefit is how these sprouts help maintain balance. While protein supports egg formation and minerals support structure, energy ensures that the entire system keeps running smoothly. Sunflower sprouts help fill that role, making sure your chickens have the fuel they need to stay active and productive without relying solely on commercial feed. Over time, sunflower sprouts become an important part of a well-rounded feeding system. They complement the other sprouts by adding an energy component that ties everything together. When all these elements, protein, minerals, and energy, are working together, your chickens are in a much better position to produce eggs consistently and naturally, without unnecessary stress or extra cost. At the end of the day, improving egg production isn't about feeding your chickens more, it's about feeding them better. Once you start introducing nutrient-rich sprouts like these into their diet, you're not just adding variety, you're improving how their bodies actually use what they eat. And that's where the real difference comes from. The best part is how simple this is to do. You don't need soil, you don't need expensive equipment, and you don't need to completely change your feeding system. With just a small, consistent effort, you can grow fresh sprouts in a few days and start seeing gradual improvements in your chicken's health and productivity. Instead of relying entirely on commercial feed, you're creating a system that works alongside it, one that's cheaper, more natural, and more sustainable over time. And once that system is in place, it becomes easier to maintain consistent results without constantly increasing your costs. That's what we focus on here at Daily Plant Life: simple, practical ways to grow smarter and get better results. If you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for more.